Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I don't have that many people come here for the reading room. Maybe some of you were disappointed that I got rid of that mummy book. I don't care if you are or not. Come back another time, read it yourself. Whatever. But here we are, and the book I like better. Goosebump series by R.L. Stine. Be careful what you wish for. Scholastic book. It might come true. Okay. The women's eyes narrowed. So remember. I can't remember what the protagonist's name is. Samantha? Yeah. Samantha met up with that woman, which she said, I should have just said goodbye, but she didn't. The woman's eyes narrowed. I could see she was checking me out. I lowered my feet to the ground, balancing the bike between my legs. The rain pattered on the pavement, big cold drops. I suddenly remembered I had a hood on my windbreaker, so I reached up behind my head and slipped it over my hair. The sky darkened to an eerie olive color. The bare trees in the woods shivered in a swirling breeze. The woman took a few steps closer. She was so pale, I thought, almost ghost-like, except for the deep, dark eyes that were staring so hard at me. I seem to have lost my way, she said. To my surprise, she had an old woman's voice, sort of shaky and frail. I squinted at her from under my hood. The rain was matting her thick black hair to her head. It was impossible to tell how old she was. She could have been 20 or 60. This is Montrose Avenue, I told her, speaking loudly because of the drumming of the raindrops. Actually, Montrose ends here at the woods. She nodded thoughtfully, pursing her pale lips. This is pursing her lips. I am trying to get to Madison, she said. I think I have completely lost my direction. You're pretty far from Madison, I said. It's way over there, I pointed. She chewed at her lower lip. I'm usually pretty good at directions, she said fretfully in her shaky voice. She adjusted the heavy red shawl over her slender shoulders. Madison is way over on the east side, I said with a shiver. The rain was cold. I was eager to go home and get into some dry clothes. Can you take me there? The woman asked. She grabbed my wrist. I almost gasped out loud. Her hand was as cold as ice. Can you take me there? She repeated, bringing her face close to mine. I would be ever so grateful. She had taken her hand away, but I could still feel the icy grip on my wrist. Why didn't I run away? Why didn't I raise my feet to the pedals and ride out of there as fast as I could? Sure, I'll show you where it is, I said. Thank you, dear, she smiled. She had a dimple on one cheek when she smiled. I realized she was kind of pretty in an old-fashioned way. I climbed off my bike and, holding onto the handlebars, began to walk it. The woman stepped beside me, adjusting her shawl. She walked in the middle of the street, her eyes trained on me. The rain continued to come down. I saw another jagged bolt of lightning far away in the olive sky. The swirling wind made my windbreaker flap against my legs. Am I going too fast? I asked. No, dear, I can keep up, she replied with a smile. She had a small purple bag slung over her shoulder. She protected the bag by tucking it under her arm. She wore black boots under the long skirt. The boots I saw had tiny buttons running up the sides. The boots clicked on the wet pavement as we walked. I am sorry to be so much trouble, the woman said, again pursing her lips with lips fretfully. Fretfully is like when you're worried. When you fret, you are worried. No trouble, I replied. My good deed for the day, I thought, brushing a drop of rain off my nose. I love the rain, she said, raising her hands to it, letting the raindrops splash her open palms. Without the rain, what would wash the evil away? That's a weird thing to say, I thought. I muttered a reply. I wondered what evil she was talking about. Her long black hair was completely soaked, but she didn't seem to mind. She walked quickly with long, steady strides, swinging one hand as she walked, protecting the purple bag under the other arm. A few blocks later, the handlebars slipped out of my hands, my bike toppled over, and the pedals scraped my knee as I tried to grab the bike before it fell. What a klutz! I pulled my bike up and began walking it again. My knee throbbed. I shivered. The wind blew the rain into my face. What am I doing out here? I asked myself. The woman kept walking quickly, a thoughtful expression on her face. It's quite a range, she said, gazing up at the dark clouds. This is so nice of you, dear. It isn't too far out of my way, I said politely. Just 8 or 10 blocks. I didn't know how I could have gone so far astray, she said, shaking her head. I was sure I was headed in the right direction. Then when I came to those woods... We're almost there, I said. What's your name? She asked suddenly. Samantha, I told her, but everyone calls me Sam. My name is Clarissa, she offered. I'm the Crystal Woman. I wasn't sure I'd heard that last part correctly. I puzzled over it, then let it slip from my mind. It was late, I realized. Mom and Dad might already be home from work. Even if they weren't, my brother Ron was probably home, wondering where I was. A station wagon rolled towards us, its headlights on. I shielded my eyes from the bright lights and nearly dropped my bike again. The woman was still walking in the center of the street. I moved toward the curb so she could move out of the station wagon's path, but she didn't seem to care about it. She kept walking straight, her expression not changing even though the bright headlights were in her face. Look out, I cried. I don't know if she heard me. The station wagon swerved to avoid her and honked its horn as it rolled by. She smiled warmly at me as we kept walking. So good of you to care about a total stranger, she said. The streetlights flashed on suddenly. They made the wet street glow. The brushes and hedges, the grass, the sidewalk, everything seemed to glow. It all looked unreal. Here we are. This is Madison, I said, pointing to the street sign. Finally, I thought. I just wanted to say goodbye to this strange woman and pedal home as fast as I could. Lightning flickered closer this time. What a dreary day, I thought with a sigh. Then I remembered Judith. The whole miserable day suddenly rolled through my mind again. I felt a wave of anger sweep over me. Which way is east? The woman asked, her shaky voice breaking into my bitter thoughts. East, I gazed both ways on Madison, trying to clear Judith from my mind. I pointed. The wind picked up suddenly, blowing a sheet of rain against me. I tightened my grip on the handlebars. You are so kind, the woman said, wrapping the shawl around her. Her dark eyes stared hard into mine. So kind. Most young people aren't kind like you. Thank you, I replied awkwardly. The cold made me shiver again. Well, goodbye. I started to climb onto my bike. No, wait, she pleaded. I want to repay you. Huh? I uttered. No, really, you don't have to. I want to repay you, the woman insisted. She grabbed my wrist again, and again I felt a shock of cold. You've been so kind, the woman repeated, so kind to a total stranger. I tried to free my wrist, but her grip was surprisingly tight. You don't have to thank me, I said. I want to repay you, she replied, bringing her face close to mine, still holding onto my wrist. Tell you what, I'll grant you 3 wishes. She's crazy, I realized. I stared into those coal black eyes. Rainwater trickled from her hair, down the sides of her pale face. I could feel the coldness of her hand, even through the sleeve of my windbreaker. The woman is crazy, I thought. I've been walking through the pouring rain for 20 minutes with a crazy person. 3 wishes, the woman repeated, lowering her voice as if not wanting to be overheard by anyone. No, thanks. I've really got to get home, I said, tugging my wrist from her grasp and turned to my bike. I'll grant you 3 wishes, the woman repeated. Anything you wish shall come true. She moved the purple bag in front of her and carefully pulled something from it. It was a glass ball, bright red, the size of a large grapefruit. It sparkled despite the darkness around us. That's nice of you, I said, wiping water off the bike seat with my hand, but I don't really have any wishes right now. Please, let me repay you for your kindness, the woman insisted. She raised the gleaming red ball in one hand. Her hand was small and as pale as her face, the fingers bony. I really do want to repay you. My mom will be worried, I said, glancing up and down the street. No one in sight. No one to protect me from this lunatic if she turned dangerous. Just how crazy was she, I wondered? Could she be dangerous? Was I making her angry by not playing along, by not making a wish? It isn't a joke, the woman said, reading the doubt in my eyes. Your wishes will come true, I promise you. She narrowed her gaze. The red ball suddenly glowed brighter. Make your first wish, Samantha. I stared back at her, thinking hard. I was cold and wet and hungry, and a little frightened. I just wanted to get home and dry. What if she won't let me go? What if I can't get rid of her? What if she follows me home? Again, I searched up and down the blocks. Most of the houses had lights on. I could probably run to the nearest one and get help if I needed it. Shh, Lucy, okay. But I decided it might be easier just to play along with the crazy woman and make a wish. Maybe that would satisfy her. Let me see if I can quiet her down. But I decided it might be easier just to play along with the crazy woman and make a wish. Maybe that would satisfy her and she'd go on her way and let me go home. Let me just see. What is your wish, Samantha? She demanded. Her black eyes glowed red, the same color as the gleaming ball in her hand. She suddenly looked very old, ancient. Her skin was so pale and tight, I thought I could see her skull underneath. I froze. I couldn't think of a wish. And then she blurted out, my wish is to be the strongest player. And then I blurted out, my wish is to be the strongest player on the basketball team. I don't know why I said that. I guess I was just nervous. And I had Judith on my mind and all that happened that day, ending up with the disaster at basketball practice. And so that was my wish. Of course, I immediately felt like a total jerk. I mean, of all the things to wish for in the world, why would anyone pick that? But the woman didn't seem at all surprised. She nodded, closing her eyes for a moment. The red ball glowed brighter, brighter, until the fiery red radiated around me. Then it quickly faded. Clarissa thanked me again, tucked the glass ball back in the purple bag, and began walking quickly away. I breathed a sigh of relief. I was so glad she was gone. I jumped on my bike, turned it around, and began pedaling furiously towards home. A perfect end to a perfect day, I thought bitterly, trapped in the rain with a crazy woman. And the wish, I knew it was totally stupid. I knew I'd never have to think about it again. Okay, we read 2 chapters. I should put my bookmark in there. So now we are on chapter 7. Okay, that's all that I have. Thank you so much. I will see you back here on Tuesday at 3:15 in the reading room where we will continue that. And this is Dr. Annette Feravich. This is the classroom, and I am the teacher. Thanks for joining.